Good day, everyone. Welcome to our class for today. Um, how are you? Okay, that's good to hear. So, our topic for today is nonverbal communication. What can you say about nonverbal communication? Wow, that's very good. So, generally, nonverbal communication is defined as the aspect of communication that is not expressed in words. So, from the word nonverbal, this communication does not involve words. So, we will see later on uh, the meaning of nonverbal. Today's lesson, we will be learning with Sir Christian Nabotas.
Hello everyone, how are you?
Okay, our learning objectives uh, is our after completing this lesson, students will be able to describe the challenges of active listening.
List at least one nonverbal characteristics that demonstrates they are listening with intention. So,
Okay, let's get started. We will group you into a group of three. So in groups of three, students will become either the listener, the speaker, or the observer.
groups of two will also work if needed due to the total number of students or to save additional time. For groups of two, students will become either the listener or the speaker. So,
So these are the instructions. First, begin by prompting the speaker role in each group to describe a moment in his life or their lives where they felt challenged. So the speaker is given a time, a minute or two, to speak out his experiences, his challenging experiences.
second,
Third,
third rather sorry, so the listener's job is to listen to the speaker's answer and nothing more, so they should not speak, reply, or suggest anything to the speaker. So take note, if the students ask, listeners are allowed to use nonverbal cues such as gestures and facial expressions during their interaction. So they can nod their head, speak with their hands, and etc. So nonverbal cues will be addressed in the discussion of this activity.
yes, later on. So if groups have an observer, the observer's job is to observe both the listener and the speaker to see how they respond to both of their roles and enforce the listener's rule of no talking if necessary. The observer is not allowed to engage with the speaker. At the end of the allotted time, the 1 minute or two, have the group trade roles so that each group member has a chance to serve each role. So after a minute or two of speaking, they will switch part. So the speaker now will become the listener, and the listener now will become the speaker. Or if there are three persons in one group, they will just have plan to um, either the speaker will become the observer or the listener. So you just trade with yourselves. Okay, so now let's get started. Um, are you ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay, that's good. So, because there are only two students here, we'll ask Christian to be the first student, and me myself will be the second student. So he will be the first speaker, and I will be the first listener. Later on, we will switch part. So, okay, Chan, are you ready?
Okay.
The
So
time will start. I'll give you a stopwatch. Okay, start now.
okay. So my speech today is about my challenge here in Mountain View College. When I was working students here. So I have really struggled of looking for work department before. So every department that I had applied has really refused me to accept. So it's really hard for me because I cannot enroll in that semester without if I don't have work or I don't have a work department. So I almost it was a very hard experience and I really feel down. So I went back to dormitory and cry. So and after a morning, so I pray to God, Lord, give me a work department. So I approached to Sir Britannia and I asked him that I want to apply in their work department. So there are so many interviews about me because Sir Britannia is new, and that was my challenging experience that I had.
Okay. Now we'll switch part. I will be the speaker. Good day, everyone. One of my challenging experience I have had was it just happened recently. It was just last April 26th this year that our youngest brother met a vehicular accident and he was operated twice, oh, thrice actually, thrice in his head because he experienced blood clot. So we experience emotionally drained, financially drained, and even physically drained during those time, and even this time, um, we were so challenged with the situation because of we are out of money to pay for the hospital bill and for the medicine. So this is just one of the challenging experience we have had so far in our family. So that's it. Okay, thank you. We finished at least 1 or almost 2 minutes to speak. Okay, now the goal of this activity is to highlight how hard it is to simply listen, to just listen to someone without intervening or imposing our own thoughts on their experience. Um, Everyone, or even students, may find that as the listener, they naturally wanted to respond or make suggestion, and that it was hard for them to stay silent. I have noticed, John, myself in listening to you because I'm a talker. So uh, I almost wanted to speak out or say something and to intervene you because um, that's me. That's naturally me. That I so this is what it says, that it is so hard to just listen and not intervene. I have experienced. They may all have also found themselves reverting to nonverbal responses such as eye contact or various gestures. Consider promptings. Okay, so now we'll have questions about our experiences during the speaking time and the listening time. So the first question is, how did it feel to be a listener first? Oh, I'm the first listener, so I'll just the answer. So uh, it was a big challenge for me because I'm a talker, as I have said. So I wanted to interrupt him to say a gesture, but good. I was able to hold my peace, hold my peace. So that's it. But um, in agreeing his situation, his challenges, so um, because I don't have question to that is important to say. So I just nod and agreed to whatever his experiences are. So you, how about you? How did
Yes,
it
for
feel to
me,
be a listener?
I think we experience the same.
Hmm.
I also almost interact with based on your experience because it is a really a hard experience for me. So it is really involved and emotional. So
Yeah.
it is good for me during your speech. No? Although I cannot react, but I cannot say something. But for me, it is good to listen for the for your experience. So anyway, it for me it is okay.
So how
Uh,
about to be the speaker? How did it feel?
so to be the speaker, anyway, you one of my struggle as students is during my speech you have to think profoundly
Mhm.
about the words you're going to utter. So that is best learning for speaking.
That's good. Um, uh, I felt during my speaking time, I felt that when Christian nodded, um, I saw that he agreed with me, and maybe that was a challenging experience. But he was, I felt that he was impressed with the challenges that we have experienced. So I understood that. Okay, so he was amazed. I understood that he was amazed through the nodding of his head. So the second question here is, how were you able to maintain your role or our roles?
So for me, so to be able to maintain the rules is just when your time is just talking, then you talk. If your time is given as a listener, so you listen as just like that.
Okay. So okay. So now the third question, how prevalent were nonverbal cues during your interactions? How important?
So what the you first?
So, um, nonverbal cues are a sign that is so important to see that you're um, you're having a good communication with the listeners.
Mm.
Because if you see, if there are no verbal cues, there are no nodding, there are no um, facial expressions, so you will not understand um, how are you doing with your speaking part, your um, your your delivery. So that's how important nonverbal cues during interactions.
So for me, you can see that the listeners are very interactive to the speaker because of their body gestures. So that is my observation.
And
So
it's very
as a
important.
class, so yes.
So
Next.
how do these cues contribute to detract from the interaction?
So you first.
So um, it's so helpful. At the same time, most sometimes if the gestures are like interrupting, like you raise your hand, you have questions. So um, that's it. It will detract you from your speaking. Ah, Note that, depending on the context, nonverbal cues can also be received negatively by a listener. So it is important to also read the speaker's body language in listening situations. So if you're the listener, you have to also see the body language of the speaker for you to know um, if your if your intervention is will receive negative impression to the speaker or a positive impression to the speaker. Of course, listening and responding are not mutually exclusive in real life situations. A good a good active listener is one who listens well. It not only um, can hear words but listen Yeah, I guess listen. Listen. The term "listen" here is